Well lads, what's the crack, and welcome back to another new video here on the channel. And this is it now lads, Sunday the 26th of October, Box of the Athletic Grounds, half 3 throw-in. It is the big one. It is the 2025 Armagh Senior County Club Football Championship final, and of course this is my preview and prediction for the final on Sunday. And after a couple of years of Cross McGlen and Clonard domination, which was seemingly never going to end, this year we finally have a bit of uniqueness about the final, because we were going to get first time names on the Gerry Fegan Cup come Sunday evening. Yes lads, Madden v Cullyhanna competing in this year's final. It should be a cracker of a final. Madden haven't played in the final in 27 years. Cullyhanna, it's been 2016 the last time they appeared in the senior final. However, neither team has ever won the senior title in Armagh, so this final this weekend is absolutely huge. It should be a cracker of a game lads. However, let's get into my preview and predictions. We're going to look through the results for each club so far in the championship. We're going to look through their performance in the semi-final too, and we're going to look through a couple of key players before then reviewing all the factors which go into my prediction, before of course giving my actual prediction for who I do believe is going to be the champions of Armagh in 2025. So as always lads, remember to like the videos, the ratings go a long way to giving me as much support as possible. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, enjoying all the content and have not yet done so. As well as that, then click the bell so you never miss out on one of my latest uploads, and as well as that, then share this to as many people as possible to really help and push the algorithm as well. And so then lads, getting into this Armagh Senior Club Football Championship Final 2025 preview and prediction. So starting off then with looking at Madden ahead of the final, first final since 27 years, since the 90s anyway, 1984 maybe, I'm not too sure what year it is, but it will probably be up on screen at some point in this video anyway. Well, of course, a massive achievement for Madden over the past number of years. They've been so close to the final. They lost the previous year in the semi-finals of Clonagale. The year before that, lost in semis to Cross McGlen as well. However, this year they finally jumped the semi-final hurdle under the management of Mark Hart, and they have finally made it to the final two in the Armagh Senior Championship. And of course they deserve it as well for the resilience they've shown over the years and the quality they've shown so far this year as well. They 100% are deserving of a place here in this final, of course. Looking at how they've done so far to lead up to the final, the road to the final for Madden. Obviously they kicked off the championship for 2025 in the groups with the team they would inevitably be facing in the final. Not that many people would have guessed it back then, but Cullyhanna hosting Madden, and of course Cullyhanna won that one by 1 narrow point, so that definitely does have a bit of, sort of a feeling for wanting to get revenge in this one for Madden for sure. That definitely could go a long way here in this. So Madden would succumb to defeat in their opening match in the group. However, they would respond to that. They would defeat Mullabon and home turf. I think they defeated the O's away from them, I think it was, again there. So 2 wins there would get them a place in the second place in their group, just behind Cullyhanna then. Obviously in the preliminary round match they took on the Armagh Harbs, and it was a very comfortable victory there for Madden in that one, and probably was for me Madden's single best performance they've had so far in the championship, because they were just so free flowing. I don't even think they went past second gear in that one too, but the football they were playing was so free flowing going forward. Fantastic to watch obviously, and you could just tell watching that game that this Madden team was going to go far. In the quarterfinals then it was a much trickier task against Mahari, who were coming into the quarterfinal on good form, and the Dan Embers of the match would seal Madden the place in the semi-finals. And then of course came the semi-final against Clonard. It was a big match obviously. Clonard, the defending champions from the previous year, many people were questioning whether Madden would finally get over the finish line. However, they would deliver, third time lucky. After 2 back-to-back semi-final defeats, they would defeat the reigning champions Clonard and book their place in the final this Sunday coming obviously. And overall, looking at their performance, I would think it was I forget the score of the match actually. However, it still was a tight enough match there come the end obviously, but Madden did show great resilience near the end of the match there to hold on, to defend very well, to prevent Clonard from getting any crucial scores, and of course holding them at bay and managing to knock them out of the championship. In the first half, definitely was some complete football from Madden. They were leading 10-4 going into half time and going forward, especially in that first half they were looking very good. Second half though could have been a bit better, of course. I think Madden were let off a wee bit. The Clonard were having an off game. A couple of their players just weren't performing up to the preferred standard, and a couple of players such as Barry McKean were also missing through injury as well. So I mean Clonard definitely weren't on their A game, and so because of that I definitely do believe Madden were let off a good bit there in that second half. However, still final. Overall, it was a complete performance throughout the entire match, and they did still deserve to defeat Clonard and go through to the final, obviously. Now this year, of course, especially the forward line has been something to be a hold of course, a couple players in there, such as the most senior figure in this Madden team, Niall Grimley, All-Ireland winner with Armagh as well, and he has been a focal point as the way Madden have reached the final this year. Arguably Madden's greatest ever player as well, and he has been just delivering performance after performance, game in, game out, obviously. He's such a colossal presence, a great leader in this team as well, whether he plays in midfield, whether he helps out defensively, whether he goes forward and gets a couple of scores here and there, which of course he is actually a pretty good 2-point threat here in this one, so watch out for Niall Grimley beyond the arc. Obviously, if he does eye up a shot or two, he definitely could get a couple of crucial scores from that sort of position for Madden in this one. But alongside Niall Grimley then, of course, Conor Grimley, his brother, he's been one of the top scorers so far this year in the Armagh Championship. He is a sharpshooter, of course, and given any space, he is going to deliver, and he's going to score left, right and centre for this Madden team. And so, once again, he should also be a joy to watch here in this final. Alongside them, Darragh McMullen, he's been absolutely fantastic so far, as in the wing off forward position, obviously. After 2 very good years with Armagh, especially last year, he really was coming into his own, had a proper breakthrough year there. Now he's following that up now with a fantastic year so far with Madden, and he definitely will be one of the star players to watch out for as well in this Madden team coming into the final. And Joe Sheridan too, he's another wing forward. He can also sort of play in a corner forward, but he's very similar in my opinion to Darragh McMullen. Very pacey, very tricky wing forward as well, of course, in this one, and I do believe them two running down the wings definitely can cause Cullyhanna some massive issues here in this one. As well as that then, defensively, they do have a pretty good defence. James Sheridan and Nads has had a pretty good campaign. I think it's Niall Smith, I mentioned him before the semi-final, also watch out for him as well. And I think maybe Peter Lappin is another player to watch out for. So yeah, overall Madden are a very complete squad, plenty of quality across the entire pitch, and under Mark Hart this year they've been very good throughout the league campaign, always consistent during the league campaign, year in year out, and this year of course once again very consistent during the championship campaign. However, unlike other years, they've managed to get over that semi-final hurdle and have made it to the final, obviously. So coming into this one, obviously, it's going to be interesting. I'm sure there'll be a big Madden support in the athletic grounds for their first final in 27 years, especially with the Madden Ultras behind the net too. So yeah, Madden, listen, fantastic year so far. To win the championship final for the first time ever would be some achievement for the club, because this definitely is the best possible position they've left themselves in for completing that. However, it's still 70 minutes away, or 60 minutes should I say, sorry, and it still is not going to be easy, because Cullyhanna and Lee are not a side to take lightly whatsoever. And that of course does routinely lead me on to my St. Pat's Cullyhanna preview here coming into this one. We'll start off then with their road to the final. Obviously, as I did mention there a couple of minutes ago, they kick-started their campaign in the championship with a massive 1-point victory at home to Madden, the eventual team who they would end up facing in the final here. So again, as I did mention earlier on too, not many people, if anyone, would have guessed that Cullyhanna Madden game would be only the warm-up before the actual championship final in Armagh this year. However, I am all for it, of course. The follow that up then with 2 wins, a narrow victory against the O's. However, still, even though the O's are always a side who, strangely enough, always manage to give Cullyhanna of all teams a big run in and a very tight match, but still Cullyhanna would secure victory there in that one. And after their game against Mullabon was postponed by a week or two, they would still manage to defeat Mullabon in that replayed match and go 3 wins from 3, topping their group in fantastic fashion. Of course, bypassing the preliminary round, they went straight to the quarter final, where they would take on St. Peter's of Lurgan. And St. Peter's, fair enough, even though they were relegated to the Intermediate Championship for next year and finished rock bottom, I believe it was, maybe even in Division 1B, they still had a fantastic run this year in the Senior Championship and even brought Cullyhanna all the way to extra time here in this one. And apparently I didn't actually get to watch that match. However, from what I did hear, St. Peter's actually probably were the better team in the 60 minutes of regular time. However, Cullyhanna did manage to succumb to extra time there in that one, and of course their quality and their resilience has shined through there. A couple of good scores, including a long range Ross McQuillan goal, would put the icing on the cake there. And after a few scores from St. Peter's, Cullyhanna marched on after a tight enough extra time victory, leading them onto a semi-final against Crossmaglen. And oh my word, lads, I was at that game. I wasn't at the Clonard Madden semi-final, but I got to the Cross Cullyhanna semi-final 2 weeks ago, and oh my word, lads, what a game of football that did prove to be there. Of course, I mean, the entire game, in my opinion, was very enjoyable, even for the parts where Crossmaglen were clearly dominating. anything like in the first half. I was just in awe of how good Crossmaglen were. In my opinion, actually, lads, 2 weeks ago, that performance from Crossmaglen, that's the best I've ever seen Crossmaglen play. Arguably in my life, it's one of the best performances I've seen from that Cross team in my life. I mean, Rian O'Neill and Oisin O'Neill that day were just so effortlessly, you know, pulling off fantastic scores, fantastic passes across the entire pitch as well. So effortlessly. They were both looking absolutely class. Cian McCon was so skillful. He was just turning Cullyhanna defenders inside out that day as well. And overall, Crossmaglen, the football they were playing, especially on the attack too, Cullyhanna just couldn't cope with it, obviously, and that did reflect in the scoreline for sure. They scored upwards of 20 points there in that one. However, still, even with that, Crossmaglen managed to battle it there. They were winning by 10 points with 10 minutes to go. Yeah, Cullyhanna fought back and still managed to clench a victory there in the most dramatic fashion too. It was a late goal that definitely did set them on to their victory course, obviously, and from that goal on, it was very scrappy, but still, and of course the profit of a very poor free kick as well. However, still, even though that was scrappy, and originally before the goal did happen, it was a poor move of play in my opinion, from what I did see myself from Cullyhanna, but it still did pay off. And after that goal, what happened was Cullyhanna were just winning kick out after kick out, break ball after break ball. They constantly won by possession and constantly kept the scoreboard ticking before a clutch 2-pointer won them the game there, obviously. And of course, Rian O'Neill had a chance to clutch up and win the Crossmaglen the game there with a 2-pointer to win. However, it dropped short. Cullyhanna got it cleared. The whistle went, and the roar from the Cullyhanna supporters was something unheard of, obviously. It was fantastic to see Cullyhanna defeat their South Armagh rivals. A fantastic contest, a brilliant comeback. And ultimately, lads, yes, were Cullyhanna amazing in that one 2 weeks ago? No. However, they still were very good ultimately to hang in there the entire match and never give up. And ultimately, I'm very happy to see their resilient comeback, and I'm very happy to see them knock Crossmaglen out and make the final here for the first time since 2016 as well, for another club who has never won the senior title as well. So a couple of players to watch out for. There definitely is a couple of names to mention, such as the current top scorer and most likely is going to finish top scorer of the 2025 Armagh Championship. It is Aidan Nugent, obviously. In that semi-final against Crossmaglen, he had a bit of a slow start, hitting a couple of wides here and there. Obviously could have finished with a very high tally there if he hadn't put so many wides in the first half and even at times in the second half. However, you know, in that final 10 minutes when Cullyhanna were making the comeback, that's when he finally hit his peak form, and he hit it in the perfect time as well. He was the man. He got the clutch 2-pointer which sent Cullyhanna into the final as well, and he was even the player. He had the very poor free kick which actually led to being a decent enough pass and led to the scrappy goal for Cullyhanna as well. So even though that was a poor free kick, it still did pay off in the long term there for Cullyhanna there in that one against Crossmaglen. And so Aidan Nugent still, he's a fantastic rapid forward obviously too, very nippy too, always good to score 2-pointers left, right and centre. So again, he is going to be another danger man for this Cullyhanna side. But alongside him then, of course, Ross McQuillan was also looking decent at times during that one too, very rampant, going up and down the wing too. Jason Duffy as well, a quality player in that team as well. A couple very good Armagh players there in that Cullyhanna team. And alongside them, of course, you know, defence maybe could tighten up a wee bit, because I mean, then again, they Crossmaglen are just so good. So could they have done much more? I'm not too sure. But then again, I sort of do look at their defence and sort of do think, you know, if they want to win this one, they're going to have to tighten up still, because Madden still can definitely cause some damage here in this one with the likes of Niall and Conor Grimley, Dar McMullen, Joe Sheridan, etc. and their team as well. And so, like, I mean, Cullyhanna still do have a couple other good players such as Shea Huey, centre half forward, very good player there obviously as well. But still overall, Cullyhanna need to do a bit of work defensively, but I do believe they will have learned from their lessons there still. Can I see Cullyhanna get beat by as big a margin as they were getting beat by Crossmaglen in the first 50 minutes here in this final? No, I think they definitely will have tightened up massively over the past 2 weeks, and I think we're going to see Cullyhanna play so much better across the 60 minutes in this final than they were 2 weeks ago against Crossmaglen. So yes, Cullyhanna still, even though they could have been a wee bit better against St Peter's and even Crossmaglen as well, they still have done very well to make it this far and still have as big a chance to win this final as Madden do. And so then we focus on the final, Madden v Cullyhanna, a massive final here, massive day in the Armagh footballing calendar, and the winner obviously getting their hands on the Gerry Fegan Cup for the first time in the club's history. Obviously a couple of factors go into my prediction. Firstly, looking at the head-to-head, looking at the previous meeting between the two sides in the championship opener of the round robin phase, and Cullyhanna obviously winning it with a clutch 1-point victory there on home turf against Madden. That definitely could go in Cullyhanna's favour, proving Cullyhanna can't defeat defeat this Madden side, but then again, you could sort of look at it and say, well, Madden will now be out for revenge for sure on the biggest stages of all too, and well, they won't mind losing that game now. However, if they can win this one here, it's going to prove that loss against Cullyhanna at the start of the round robin phase was all worth it to come the end there, come the long term in the Armagh Championship this year. Obviously as well, looking at the experience, Madden of course, well experienced, a couple of very good experienced players there mixed in with a couple quality young talent as well, and the same can be said for Cullyhanna too, of course, and quality county players in there as well. And I suppose maybe one thing Cullyhanna does have which Madden don't have is experience in big games, because Madden, you know, they haven't really had too much experience in big games, have been struggling to get past the semi-final stage, and obviously by defeating Cullyhanna, they're the current reigning champions, definitely will put them in a fantastic position still, and that still is winning a big game too, so that definitely will stand with them massively here in this one. However, still Cullyhanna have got experience, of course. I mean, they won the intermediate final against St Paul's in emphatic fashion. They then of course went on to win the Ulster intermediate title before then defeating a club from Cork, I forget what their name is, but they defeated that club in Croke Park to win the All-Ireland intermediate title as well. So the fact that, you know, Cullyhanna's had that much success, even though it was in the intermediate championships, it still does prove to you that they have experience and they do know how to win these big games. So that definitely, in my opinion, could be an absolutely crucial factor coming into this one here for Cullyhanna, obviously as well. And so then, that's all the look ahead, that's all the previewing and the analysis done. Now on to my prediction. Who do I think is going to win the 2025 Armagh Championship title? Well, I can tell you now, lads, I do not think it's going to go to extra time. I think we're going to have a winner after 60 minutes, just like usual. And the team who I'm going to say is going to win the championship this year is going to be St Pat's Cullyhanna. Yes, I'm going to say by 1 narrow point that St Pat's Cullyhanna will be the 2025 Armagh champions and will get their hands on the Gerry Fegan Cup for the very first time. I do believe they will have learned plenty of lessons from their fantastic victory against Crossmaglen still, and I do believe their experience in big games is going to stand with them massively here in this one too. They've had a fantastic rise over the past 2 or 3 years, from winning the All-Ireland intermediate title to then progressing year after year in the senior phases, in the senior frame of Armagh football as well. Listen, I think Madden have an equal opportunity to win this one here, but I do believe those factors are going to win Cullyhanna the game here in this one. But then again, as I did mention there now, Madden could easily still win this one. It's going to be very hard to call, very, very tight. I'd love to see Madden win this one, but honestly, lads, in my opinion, based off those factors, I'm leaning towards an hour 1 point victory for Cullyhanna in this one. Anyway, lads, I'm going to end today's Armagh 2025 Senior Club Championship final preview and prediction. Hope you have enjoyed it, of course. What do you think about my prediction? Do you think Madden's going to win? Do you think Cullyhanna's going to win? Let me know in the comments below. And of course as well, lads, are you excited for the match? Let me know in the comments below that as well. Remember, as always, like the video, subscribe if you're new, click the bell and share this to as many people as possible. And so then, lads, see you all then on the next one here on KDFG.